Spartans, prepare your breakfast and eat well, because tonight we dine in Hades. This is the line that defines a legend, the phrase that transforms a man into an immortal myth. 300 men, a narrow mountain pass, and an empire of more than 1 million soldiers. It is without question the greatest story of military sacrifice ever told. But do we truly know the man behind the helmet? The movie showed us the warrior and the king, but it never showed us the monster. Leonidas wasn't born a hero. He was designed, forged, and systematically broken, and rebuilt by the most brutal training machine the ancient world ever conceived. To understand Leonidas, you must first understand Sparta, the city of iron. It wasn't like Athens with its philosophers debating existence, artists sculpting beauty, and theatres exploring human emotion. Sparta was austere and primitive, living under constant, paralysing fear. But fear of what? Not the Persians, not the Athenians. Sparta feared itself. The Spartan purebloods, the homioi, were a tiny elite ruling over a massive population of state slaves called helots, outnumbered 10 to 1, sometimes 20 to 1. Imagine living every single day knowing that the people who farm your fields, cook your food and build your homes would slaughter you given half a chance. Their entire society wasn't designed to conquer the world. It was designed to control their own backyard through terror. The Cryptia, a secret police force of young Spartans, hunted down the strongest helots by night. It wasn't just population control, it was training, teaching boys to kill in darkness. This is the world into which Leonidas was born around 540 BC. Leonidas was of royal blood, belonging to the house of the Aegeans, one of Sparta's 2 royal families. But being royalty didn't mean luxury or exemption. He had 2 older brothers and was never destined for the throne. This is what creates the monster. Because he wasn't the heir, at 7 years old, Leonidas was ripped from his mother's arms like every other Spartan boy and thrown into the Agoge, a 13-year program designed to burn away individuality and forge the collective, eliminating fear, compassion and pain, replacing it all with obedience. Imagine Navy SEAL training lasting over a decade, starting at age 7. The boys received 1 tunic per year with no shoes ever. They slept on reed beds torn from riverbanks with bare hands. They were deliberately starved to encourage stealing, but they weren't punished for theft. They were savagely punished for getting caught. The crime wasn't theft. The crime was incompetence. Beatings weren't punishment. Beatings were the curriculum. The goal was to make pain irrelevant. In this nightmare walked young Leonidas, a boy with royal blood treated worse than a dog. Most boys broke, becoming soulless drones. But Leonidas didn't just survive the Agoge. He thrived. Where others saw cruelty, he saw competition. Where others felt pain, he found limits to push. He learned not merely to endure the system, but to dominate it. While Leonidas struggled for scraps in the barracks, a war of succession raged in the palace. His eldest brother Cleomenes, exempt from the Agoge, was crowned king around 520 BC. His second brother Dorius, unable to accept this pampered ruler, chose self-imposed exile and sailed to found his own colony in Sicily, where Carthaginians ambushed and slaughtered him. Cleomenes proved unstable and volatile, eventually declared insane by the ephors. They found him dead in his cell the next day. The pampered heir was dead. The arrogant heir was dead. Around 490 BC, Leonidas, the boy thrown into the Agoge at 7, the man who watched his family destroy itself, put on the crown. Sparta hadn't just crowned a prince, it had put its most perfect monster in charge. The timing couldn't be worse. On the other side of the known world sat Xerxes, the Shahanshah, king of kings, ruling 70 million souls. The year Leonidas was crowned, Xerxes' father had sent an invasion force that the Athenians crushed at Marathon. For Xerxes, that defeat became personal obsession. He spent nearly a decade amassing the largest army in history, perhaps 300,000 men, so many that when they stopped to drink, they drained entire rivers. When a storm destroyed his bridge across the Hellespont, he ordered his men to whip the sea 300 times, then beheaded the engineers. This was a god in his own mind, coming to erase Greece. Before the sword came diplomacy of terror. Xerxes sent ambassadors demanding earth and water, symbols of absolute submission. Greece shattered. Thessaly, Boeotia and Argos surrendered. When ambassadors arrived in Sparta, Leonidas listened to their demand, then ordered them dragged to the city wall's edge. You want earth and water? Find it yourselves. They had murdered the god-king's messengers. There was no going back. An emergency congress was called across Greece. Themistocles presented the strategy: block Xerxes' land army at Thermopylae, the hot gates, where a narrow pass would render Persian numbers useless. But when Leonidas went before the ephors to mobilize the army, they refused. It was the sacred month of Carneer. The law was absolute. The army could not march. But Leonidas found the crack. The law said nothing about the king's personal guard. He requested permission to take his hippies, 300 elite soldiers, as an advance party. The ephors couldn't refuse. Then came his chilling final order: only those with living sons may go. He knew this wasn't reconnaissance. It was ritualized suicide. He was selecting men whose bloodlines wouldn't be extinguished, ensuring Sparta continued even if its royal guard was annihilated. In Sparta, farewells meant no weeping. Women handed shields with a single command: return with this, or on it. His wife Gorgo asked what she must do. Leonidas' answer was devastating: marry a good man, have good children. Before facing Xerxes, Leonidas consulted the oracle at Delphi. Her prophecy was terrifying: either Sparta would be destroyed, or the land would mourn the death of a king. For Leonidas, this was liberation, destiny, not suicide. He gathered perhaps 7,000 men against 250,000. But he already knew the ending. He wasn't there to win. He was there to choose the stage for his death. At its narrowest, Thermopylae measured barely 15 meters wide. Here, numbers meant nothing. Here, the phalanx could become a wall of bronze and Spartan muscle. When Xerxes sent a final emissary demanding surrender, Leonidas gave the most famous response in military history: Molen Labe, come and take them. At dawn, Xerxes sent 10,000 Medes, cannon fodder. They crashed against the phalanx. The Spartans locked shields while 3-meter spears formed layers of death. The Persians couldn't get close. Xerxes sent his elite immortals, 10,000 strong. The fight was harder, but the Spartan system proved stronger than individual skill. When Spartans feigned retreat, pursuing Persians found themselves facing a wall of spears that appeared from nowhere. Disciplined massacre. 2 days. The world's largest army was stopped. Then came Ephialtes, a traitor with a secret worth an empire, a hidden goat trail circling the mountain. Xerxes sent elite forces through the night. 1,000 Phocians guarding the path panicked and fled. When scouts reported the trap closing, Leonidas ordered the Greek allies to retreat and warn Athens. Everyone left except 700 Thespians who refused to abandon the Spartans, and 400 Theban hostages Leonidas kept to ensure they didn't join Xerxes. Barely 1,000 men remained against the world. Leonidas removed his helmet, looked at his 300, and unleashed them, Spartans. Prepare your breakfast and eat well, because tonight we dine in Hades. They didn't defend, they charged. Abandoning the wall's safety, they ran toward death. Who charges into a surrounding army? Spears broke, they drew swords. Leonidas became a butcher, seeking Xerxes himself. Terrified Persians fell back, filling him with arrows. The king fell. But the fight for his body continued. 4 times Persians charged to claim the corpse. 4 times Spartans drove them back. 2 of Xerxes' brothers died attempting. The survivors dragged Leonidas to a small hill. Spears gone, swords broken, they fought with hands and teeth until Xerxes ordered the sky darkened with arrows. Xerxes had won, paying with 20,000 men and 2 brothers, all for 300 Spartans and 700 Thespians. He found Leonidas' corpse and, in impotent fury, ordered it beheaded and crucified. But he hadn't erased him, he'd made him immortal. The news spread not as defeat, but sacrifice. Leonidas had bought Greece what Xerxes' money couldn't: time for the fleet, time to evacuate Athens, Time for fear to transform into rage. Weeks later at Salamis, the inspired Greek fleet crushed Xerxes' armada. 1 year later at Plataea, Spartans marched with full force to avenge their king, annihilating the Persian army forever. The oracle was fulfilled. Sparta was saved. The price was one king. Leonidas wasn't a philosopher or a good man by our standards. He was the perfect creation of a brutal system, a monster designed with a single purpose, to be the shield. The Agoge stripped him of fear, compassion and individuality, and in Greece's darkest hour, those were the virtues they needed. Xerxes had 1,000,000 men, Leonidas had a story, and 2,500 years later, we still tell it, because some victories aren't measured in territory or enemies killed, but in the example left behind. Leonidas stood when the world demanded he kneel. He chose death when survival meant dishonour. He became the monster his city needed, and in doing so, became immortal. Not because the gods blessed him, but because he understood a truth echoing through ages: how you die matters more than how long you live. The monster of Sparta died on his feet, facing enemies, weapon in hand. In that final moment, he proved the Agoge had created something magnificent, a man who could not be broken, bent, or conquered, even in death. That is the real Leonidas, the monster who chose to become a martyr and changed the world forever.